Hi, Joy Horner here. Just need to turn the screen around. I was just looking out my window. It's quite nice actually. Just looking at the bluish sky beyond the orchids on my windowsill. Anyway, waxing lyrical. Hi there. I've come on this morning to talk about why I keep banging on about empower yourself, do your research, gather information, which seems to have been taken the wrong way on one of my posts, but I guess people don't know me well enough. That's all I can think, because all of you who know me know that I'm into people making empowered choices. And I don't empower people because I'm not that powerful. You know, people can empower themselves if they get enough knowledge through gathering information. And that's the best way to approach labour and birth. So I posted something about the whooping cough vaccine, and it was just a straight link to an NHS site with my comment of, if you're offered the whooping cough vaccine, do your research. And I've probably posted lots of other posts as well that says, if you're offered this, do your research beforehand. If you're offered that, do your research. But somehow and for some reason, people thought I had a hidden agenda, that thought I was insinuating that things are being hidden from the public. No, none of that. There's no insinuating. I'm a really simple person. I say what I mean what I say. So if I say do your research, it means only that, do your research. Read this article, which tells you all about the whooping cough vaccination. And that isn't the point of this post today, although that's what triggered me thinking about it, because I don't give a damn actually if people think I'm for vaccines or against vaccines. It shouldn't bother you. You know, your choice is what's important. As a midwife, I have to recommend certain things, but my personal opinions and personal choice are kept out of the equation because I'm a professional. My goodness. But I do encourage people to do their research, and that's what this post's about. And it sounds a bit dull and a bit dry, doesn't it? But it's really, really important, because this is about your human rights. And this is about you not coming out the other end of birth feeling traumatised and having post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, this is why I keep banging on about it. It's so important. And this is why I teach antenatal education classes, because you don't know what you don't know. So many people have told me really sad stories about their first birth. And all I can say is you don't know what you don't know. If nobody's told you, you know, the most straightforward way to proceed through a labour and how to optimise your chances of having a good birth experience, a straightforward birth. We're not talking about normal birth. We're not talking about vaginal birth. We're talking about all births. You need to know how to optimise your chances of having a good birth experience. If not, there's a possibility you end up with birth trauma. This is why I bang on about research. I've written a couple of notes so that I don't just keep waffling on. So I will just have a look at those. And I saw another lovely post on Instagram, which I've shared, that said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And going with the flow is not a plan, it's just a wish. And I really like those, because if you go into birth with the goal being that you're happy and healthy and your baby's happy and healthy, but you don't have a plan, then it's just wishful thinking. You know, you're just going with the flow, and you'll receive whatever care you receive, because you don't know when you're given options and choices. If you don't know what those mean and what the benefits and risks are, you might make the wrong choice for you. How do you know it's the right choice? I've had so many people say to me over the years, oh, what would you do, Joy, when I'm their midwife in hospital? Okay, you have a choice of how to give birth to your placenta. We can give you the injection and pull it out. You can wait and it will come out. You will need to push it out, but it will come out of its own accord. Which would you like to do? Oh, what would you do, Joy? It doesn't matter what I do. Although I don't say that to my clients, of course, I'm much nicer. It doesn't matter what I do. This isn't me, this is you. And you need to know the benefits and risks of doing both. And as a busy NHS midwife, we haven't always got the time to explain all the benefits and risks of everything, which is why you need to inform yourself beforehand. Do your research. People are going to get fed up when we say this, but I don't give a damn. I'm of a certain age now. I'm menopausal, and it really doesn't matter. I just need to share the knowledge that I've got so that people can empower themselves. That's what it's all about. So in the post on Instagram, it also said, going with the flow is not a plan, it's a wish. You need to be more specific. So how do you be more specific? Well, you write a birth plan. And I've just written a brilliant course on this. And again, I'm not here to advertise it, but it is a really brilliant course online. You can do it really quickly in your own time. Hi, Wilma. Nice to see you. You need to write a birth plan. And people don't like that it's called a birth plan sometimes. But I like a plan. I really like a plan. I acknowledge that things don't always go to plan, which is why I have backup plans. And my course talks all about having plan A, your ideal birth, what you'd like to do, plan B for if things don't go to plan, plan C if you need a cesarean birth, and plan D to be really specific about the time after birth, the golden hour, and what's important to you. We can't plan birth, but we can have a good plan about how we're going to deal with things if they go to plan or don't go to plan. We've got backup plans. Some people call it birth preferences, and where I saw it, the woman called it a birth map, which I quite like. And birth plans are so important as a communication tool. So you've come into hospital, you've given me your birth plan, I look at it and think, okay, she wants a physiological third stage. So I know what I'm doing with that. You know that I'm going to support you in that, and ahead we go. We don't have to then have the long conversation in labour, with you saying, what are the benefits, what are the risks, what are the alternatives, what if we do nothing, using your instinct, the brain acronym. All that doesn't have to be done in labour if you've done a birth plan. It's really simple. You've said you want to come in, you want your baby monitored all the way through, you want to be on the bed. I'm going to support you in that, even if I don't think that's really the way that I'd want to give birth. If that's the way you want to give birth, I support it. I've supported people having a cesarean for their first baby because they don't like the idea of vaginal birth. No previous trauma or anything, just a really well-informed decision. And it wasn't something that I'd advise, and she went through lots of appointments to try and persuade her otherwise, but she had the birth that she wanted and she didn't end up with birth trauma. So who are we? Right. So shouldn't you just trust the professionals? Shouldn't you just go to hospital? You've packed your little bag and you arrive at the hospital and you hand over all responsibility to the health professionals. Isn't that a nice, easy way to do it? Yes, you can do that. If that's what you want to do, you do that. And you will be well cared for on the most part. This isn't anti-hospital. This isn't anti-midwife or doctor. You will be well cared for, but hospitals are big institutions and they're not normally well staffed or well funded. So you will get standardised care unless you say otherwise. So unless you go in with a birth plan and you know your rights and you know your choices, you'll receive standardised care, which is great if you're a standard person. It's fantastic. You know, I don't know, a good 50% of people, maybe even more, 80% of people will go through the NHS system and out the other end. And it doesn't matter if they've done antenatal education or perineal massage or not, they won't come out with birth trauma. But the statistics are that 20 to 30% of people who give birth come out the other end with birth trauma, which is an alarming statistic. It's dreadful, and I'm going to do everything possible to reduce that statistic. You know, that's why I keep banging on about people knowing their rights, knowing their choices, doing their homework. I don't want to sound like a teacher. Do your bloody homework, otherwise you won't get the grade. Or hope that you're one of the 70 or 80%, you know, who just glide through and don't come out traumatised. It's your choice. I don't mind which you do. Right. Yeah, using the BRAIN acronym, really important. Those of you who don't know, I'll put a link underneath, but it's asking intelligent questions. Ask what are the benefits, what are the risks, what are the alternatives. Use your instinct or initiative and say, what if we do nothing? If we don't have this intervention, what will happen? If we don't have the whooping cough vaccine, well, your baby would be vulnerable in the few weeks after birth before it can have its jabs, and it might get whooping cough. That's the fact. Whooping cough is around. I haven't heard it around here recently, but it's, you know, it's not one of those things like smallpox that we've eradicated, you know. Anyway, yeah. So I say, yes, trust the health professionals because they do know what they're doing, but sometimes they are really busy. Sometimes they haven't read the most recent research. You know, myself as much as anyone, I can't read every bit of research and be up to date on every single subject. So yeah, this is why you need to do it yourself. And when we learned that there was a study done on the guidelines that doctors use, so these are called the green-topped guidelines, and they are meant for doctors to refer to be able to advise their patients in different circumstances. And someone did a study on it, and they found that only 10 to 20% of Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists guidelines are based on good evidence. Only 10 to 20%. So what are the other 70 to 80%, sorry, I can't do maths, 80 to 90% based on? You know, hearsay, personal opinion, experience. Health professionals have baggage. I have baggage. Everyone has baggage. You know, I might advise you not to go to hospital, you know, in case you get interventions and get things done to you. You know, that's based on my experience. That's my baggage. You know, that is not going to help you really making your informed choices. Well, it might, but it's biased. You know, I shouldn't give you that information. I should give you the really good information based on studies, yeah, and my anecdotal evidence, because that is important too, and what other women have found important and what other birthing people have found important. Right, starting to waffle, so I'm going to wrap it up now. But yeah, we do recommend things that aren't based on good evidence, like advising caesarean for breech babies based on the Hannah trial, which was done in the year 2000 and was an incredibly flawed trial. So if any health professional quotes that trial as a good reason why you should have caesarean, one, they don't know how to critique a bit of evidence, and two, they haven't updated their research. The research they've looked at in 20 years. This was published 20 years ago, and there have been lots of studies since then. Anyway, that's going down the breech birth rabbit hole. So yeah, the whole point of this, it was sparked by the whooping cough vaccine, because not everyone is informed that it is a 4-in-1 vaccine. You are not vaccinated just against whooping cough. It is the 4-in-1 vaccine. So you need to do your research, you need to find that out, because busy midwives don't always have time to tell you. And they don't always give you the leaflet, or they might give you the leaflet and you might forget about the leaflet or chuck it away. Do your research. Yeah, we don't always have time in 15-minute appointments. Okay, here's a little anecdotal story to end with, because you'll like this. So, I've been in and out of the NHS for, well, 36 years, because I was a nurse before I was a midwife, but I've only been a midwife for 20 years. So in my midwifery career, I've also been in and out of the NHS. And my last little soiree into the NHS was to a lovely birth centre, and I really, really enjoyed working there. And that was in 2012, I think, if I remember correctly. And I got told off very, very nicely by one of the other midwives because my clinics overran and took too long. And I'd be forever going out into the waiting room saying, look, I'm really sorry, we're running late, you know, it's going to be half an hour late, you can either wait or I'll reschedule you for another day. And people waited. People understood that sometimes the person before them needed to pour their heart out and really needed time and attention from a midwife. Anyway, I got told off for this. My colleague very nicely said to me, I've heard you on the phone, Joy, and you're really, really nice to people, aren't you? And I went, oh, yeah, thank you. I try to be. And she said, but it means that your clinic's overrun. And I said, yeah, I'm really sorry. You know, I do apologise. I do try and keep to 15 minutes. But if someone's got something, you know, they really need to talk about, they really need to talk about it. Her response was, don't ask people how they are, Joy, because we haven't got time to listen. Isn't that awful? She said it in such a sweet way. Don't ask people how they are. How dreadful. In a caring profession, I'm not meant to care about people. So I told her that in 47 years, I'd always been really nice to people where I can, and I wasn't going to change now. And I would try and keep to time, but I'd still give those people the time they needed to pour their heart out, to have a good cry, to talk about domestic abuse. You know, people aren't going to talk about that sort of stuff if you rush them in and rush them out the door. These are important things. And this is why I went back to independent midwifery, where I can spend 2 hours with someone with an antenatal appointment. Anyway, that's my little story to end with. That, yeah, that's it really. Hope you enjoyed it today. Put any comments, any questions below. I'll put links to various things, and empower yourself. Do your research. Do your homework. I'll be marking it. Only kidding. Bye.